Isaac, are you rolling? I can't see it. Oh, there it is. Okay, hello. In the 1995 movie, Forrest Gump, we were told that life was a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Going through life that way, to me, is a great way to go through life because I'm constantly surprised, I'm inquisitive, and I'm constantly laughing at things. Some days, though, I go through life and the day isn't going well. And it's basically a pile of doo-doo. So my speech is on humor and how humor helps me merge through the doo-doo. Now I'm going to tell you a bit of a backstory about this emoji hat. We were talking at work one day about emojis on our phone. And I'm looking at them and I pointed at this one and said, well, what is this for? And one of my younger coworkers explained what a poo-poo emoji is for. And then his brother works at a party store up on 27th Street by the Toys R Us. And he went in there one night and brought this hat back to me. So I said, this is my hook for my speech. And it sits above my desk, and my coworkers all have permission if they're having a really bad day to come over and put Mr. Poo-Poo on their head. Because sometimes days go that way. The thing with humor for me, and it has been this way my entire life, it helps me get out of my own way. Now, humor to me is a misguided thing at times. Because when I was a kid, there was a lot of humor in my life, but it was mean-spirited humor. It was disguised as sarcasm. It was disguised as belittling comments from my parents, from my brothers and sisters, and I developed an inferior, self-esteem, along with a huge ego, which is a great mix to become addicted. Because my self-esteem, I had a big hole in my soul, I guess, and I didn't quite know how to deal with that. As I was growing up and I got into puberty, and I don't know anybody that I've ever met that had a great time in puberty. It's an awkward time. Men and women were discovering things about ourselves, about we're changing physically, and we're going to high school and we're being made fun of sometimes. Or, in my case, I'm making fun of others. And I'm doing it in humorous ways, thinking that it's humorous, but what I'm doing is I'm belittling people to feel better about myself. So I go through my life in this pattern for many, many years. And I become an active alcoholic, and at the end of my drinking, I'm drinking in bars that are basically holes in the wall so I can feel better about myself and look at the person next to me that's worse off than I am and belittle them in the light of, quote, humor. So I've had experience with humor both in a good and bad way. Now let me tell you the great ways I've had experience with humor. Two things, animals and children. When I was growing up, one of my earliest memories is Sally the Basset Hound under the Christmas tree, Christmas of 1970. This dog had the glitter stuff all over it, and it was kind of wrapped up, and it had a bow on its head. It wasn't even my dog, it was for my older brothers, but it was everybody's dog, really. So Sally had a litter of 7 puppies. Now, back in the 70s, the floors were these porcelain floors, and the cabinets were made out of wood. So one of the sounds I can remember as a child is a Basset Hound puppy, ears growing quicker than the rest of the body. Okay, so the Basset Hound puppy, they're excited to see you. That real throaty loud. And they start running, you hear their nails scratching across the floor, and then they step on their own ear. And then you hear this whoop, and you hear this sliding sound, and boom, into that cabinet. Humor with animals. In 1972, we had a cat named Yo-Yo, Siamese kitten, tore the Christmas tree down 3 different times, same Christmas. So those are the humorous things, a couple of them, that I take away from my childhood, along with some of the pain. Now, I've dealt with the pain, and I think that for me, I needed to start to own my life and get out of blaming my life on my childhood and just say it was what it was, and get the joy out of it and take the joy with me and leave the rest in the past where it belonged. So I get into recovery, and I'm full of self-pity. I'm full of my life is a mess. I'm 36 years old. I can't stay sober, won't stay sober. And I run into these people that have been sober many years and are happy about it. And they're active, and they have one component that is a great equalizer. They laugh, but they laugh with you and not at you. So they had this big invisible needles when I was early in recovery, and they were pricking away at my ego, little by little, in a loving way. And what I learned from that was that I wasn't different than any other alcoholic in AA, and that I needed to lighten up and I needed to learn to laugh. First, at myself. And what I learned about laughing at myself is about how clueless I can be about just how to live life, about relationships, about how to be a dad, sometimes just how to have a conversation. So I go through my recovery and I start to evolve into the man I am today in a spiritual sense. Now, I'm not a big godly person, but I am spiritual. And when I say spiritual, it's because things have happened in my life that I can't explain inside. And part of that inside was this joy of the release of active alcoholism. I can't tell you what it's like to live day by day addicted and to have your whole life dictated by a substance. And then to have it taken away and replaced with a life that's like full and rewarding and has depth to it, and I get to care about other people and I get to do things, and I don't have to drink. That is the greatest joy in the world, that I don't have to drink. And I get to be with kids. Kids aren't afraid of me. I get down with kids and I talk to them at their level. The other day, we're at Risky's at a sports bar, and this little kid is just having a great time. So I walk over and I say hello to him, and he's just laughing, and his mother is having a great time. And I said, "You ever tried this?" And I reach my finger out, and I go, boop, boop, boop. And little kids aren't quite coordinated. And he's like, following it along, but just laughing his head off. And I said, "Get used to it, kid. That's what a construction truck sounds like when it's backing up. Boop, boop." You know, that sound it makes. Anyway, I'm 4 years old, basically, in a lot of ways, but there is a joy in my life today that is because of the part of humor that is in my life that starts by laughing about myself and about how clueless I can be. Toastmasters has given me the most wonderful opportunity, not only to develop as a speaker, but to explore and talk about these things that are going on inside of me. And you guys don't judge, you just encourage. Thank you.